Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast, the PorscheCooled Podcast. My name's Michael Barth. You guys know me already. Most of you guys know me already, but I should always introduce myself because I know there's a lot of, as I say lately, a lot of new listeners joining the podcast and joining it at later episodes. Today we have another episode of Owner Stories. This is Tuesday's episode. Full disclosure, I'm going to tell you guys, full disclosure, I'm actually recording all these Owner Stories in advance. I did mention that, but you know, some of you asked me when I record them. Well, today is the 22nd of December, so it's a few days before Christmas, and I'm recording Owner Stories number 18. So you guys will be listening to this Tuesday, the 26th of January will be the day you'll be listening to it. That's when it's going to come live. So I've done a few in advance just so that I don't have so many to do during the month of January. Could be a lot of things happening for me in my personal and normal workday life. So I thought I'd record some in advance so you guys don't miss out on Owner Stories during January. Someone asked me the other day that I was doing an Owner Stories with and said, am I stopping them after January? No, I'm not stopping them. Steve actually had the idea. We have an idea for another. It's sort of like an offshoot of Owner Stories. It's similar to Owner Stories. I'm not going to give it away yet because I want to save it for the new year. And that's going to be another series we're going to start on the podcast, which I think you guys will actually love. It was a really good idea, and I have to admit it was actually Steve's idea, and it's going to work really well with Owner Stories and with our usual Fridays episode. I don't know if we'll have 3 episodes a week. I don't know if I can keep up with 3 episodes a week. It's been a bit of not a struggle, but it's been really, there's a lot of work to do just doing one podcast. This period of the year, I am actually recording them in advance. It's actually, I have I'll just say that I have a backlog at the moment. I've been a little bit lazy over the last couple of days, and I have a backlog of editing to do. Anyway, just a little bit of an insight. I know some of you asked me how it all works and when I record them and, you know, the owner stories and everything like that. So that's just a little bit of an insight before we get our next owner on the line. I always say on the line. Owner through Zoom. It's not a telephone line, is it? It's a Zoom line. It's Zooming. We're Zooming again. So these are always done by Zoom. This is the podcast where we connect with other Porsche owners. As I always say, every Porsche tells a different story, and each owner has a story to tell. And that's what this Owner Stories of the PorscheCooled Podcast is all about. Today we have actually a Patreon Porsche exclusive member. If you haven't joined us on Patreon, the support really is a big help. It's going to help us buy equipment. We have a few members over there at the moment, about 13 or 14. But just head over to Patreon, do a search for PorscheCooled, and you can join PorscheCooled exclusive. It's $5 a month. It really does help us out. So if you can support us there, that would be great. If not, you know, everything goes on as usual. It's okay. But any support is welcomed, is appreciated. Anyway, the owner I'm bringing to you today is. And I'm going to check with him when he comes online. I think this is how he pronounces his name. It's Kestas. Kestas is, I believe, from Italy. I'm pretty sure he is in Italy. Yeah, he's between Rome and Florence in Italy, and he's just bought his first 911. I'm going to let him introduce it, even though it's in the title. I'm going to let him introduce it, and I think it'll be quite a good story. And I know I've seen images of his car, and I will mention the Instagram when we start going into the conversation, but. His car looks very, very good. It looks like it has a lot of nice options. I don't know much about Kestas' story, so we're going to find that out very, very shortly. So anyway, enough of me talking. I'm going to get Zoom sorted out here. It's almost 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'm going to get Kestas and get him to tell us his PorscheCooled owner story. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Owner Stories. Like I said, I don't know if I did say it actually. This is number 18. 18 of the Owner Stories. We're going to hit 20 soon, which is good. So they're going to keep going. So today I have another first Porsche owner, and today we're joined on the podcast with Kestas. Hi, Kestas.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everyone.
And Kestas comes from. Well, Kestas actually just told me then he's in Lithuania. Kestas now. You're in Lithuania.
Yeah, that's right.
But he lives. Kestas has reached out to me on Instagram. We've had a few messages on Instagram. He's also a Patreon member. He lives in Italy. He lives between Rome and Florence, and he's bought his first 911. So I think that's where we'll start, and we'll get into the first question or first thing that I'm interested in, Kestas, is your first memories of seeing a Porsche or seeing a 911? Did it happen recently? Did it happen when you were a kid? Did you have a relative that owned a Porsche? Or is it something you've just sort of started to notice and thought, yeah, I've got to get one of those?
I think it is actually more the latter. I remember when I was a kid, I was more, noticing all these supercars and race cars and whatever, mainly in the movies, all the heroes, all the good guys, let's say, they were driving something really, really nice.
Yes.
That was definitely attractive. And honestly, at that time, I didn't really, let's say, knew, brands and where are they made and so on. I think it probably started in the early school years, maybe when I was like 10-ish, 8, I don't know, whatever that similar age. I got really to know a lot of brands of cars by then. I could even draw every single logo the way it looked like. So some of my covers of my notebooks, actually, they were all painted in car logos.
Yes.
I'm sure Porsche was one of those. I even got some comments from teachers that I should keep my notebooks tidier. But I mean, all the supercars, they were kind of supercars. And, I was just fascinated by any, let's say, nice design, fast, powerful, maybe even flashy. Then I think there was kind of nothing really major in between. And then I think it was probably as a teenager, I started to get some of the car magazines. It was mainly like racing cars. I remember at that time, for some reason, among my friends, we were very much into Formula One stuff
Yes.
for a few years. Like, cars of Nigel Mansell, Nelson Piquet, and these kind of, Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost,
Yeah.
all these cars, they were, I had a wall of posters on in my room. That was kind of another big flash of the cars in my life. Then again, there was not much in between, and then I think it was something like probably it was the late student years. I guess I could smell maybe I should start planning for one.
Yes.
So I started to think, okay, maybe I should read something a bit more serious. Well, serious. I mean, I started to buy like a car magazine, Evo. I bought a few. I think there are a few magazines on Porsche. So I started to read actually about, and one thing I for sure didn't want something that is, super flashy where people would go on the street. Oh, look at this car on the street. That was not my pick, to be honest. At the same time, I wanted it to be sort of a practical, serviceable, something that it's not that you just drive for an hour, a month just to show off or whatever. But something that actually you could enjoy driving, you could be outside, you could explore some, I don't know, beautiful scenery, drive with friends or meet up with friends. That was my kind of thinking. Okay, that's kind of car I should be looking for. And I think after some point, actually, I zoomed in a little bit. Kind of the list became shorter. So I noticed that maybe there are some like jaggy type, beautiful, not practical at all.
Yeah, true.
Things like older Ferraris, nice, but
Yes.
not practical. I mean, all the maintenance stories you hear, maintenance bills you hear about. No, not something I want to get into. Some nice Alfa Romeos, like old Spider convertible, beautiful cars.
Yes.
I mean, really beautiful cars. But I wanted something that is maybe a bit more, should I say, more special than that. So then I came back to I think it was drifted naturally almost into Porsches. Because first of all, iconic shape. I mean, this is such an icon.
Yes.
This is such an icon of design. It's just beautiful. Full stop.
Yes, absolutely. So before that, though, Kestas, before that, had you had anyone that you were friends with or family, had they owned a 911? Had anyone owned a Porsche? Had you
No,
actually been in one?
actually not in my family, no. But I had some colleagues actually that were kind of freaks of Porsche. Some of them were in 911s, but more like people. At that time, I was, starting my professional career, so I was kind of a rookie, So people with new Porsches were somebody I was like looking up to.
Yes,
somebody in the, let's say, senior guys in the company or whatever. But actually, I had some friends, some friends who had like a 928 at a time, and then 944 at a time. So let's say, in a way, simpler Porsche is still very much a Porsche.
Yes.
And after a few, drives, I was just, sure, this is it. I mean, that's it.
So then you're starting to work. You're making your way up the corporate ladder or whatever the profession is you do, and then you realize, not that long ago, you think, okay, now I'm in the stage of my life. And I know this feeling. I've been in the same position as you. We've all been in that same spot where you think, okay, I can do this. Those pictures in Car Magazine and Evo Magazine that tempted me for so long that I thought was unattainable. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, I can do this. So when did you realize you thought, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this soon?
That's funny actually, because I know I can do it, and it's kind of like when is it? This year, next year? Is it autumn? Is it spring? So I was at this point of decision. Probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, to be honest, for the first time. but then you know how it goes. It's kids, second kid, third kid, house is too small. You need a bigger house. Then you move around. I mean,
it seems like you take longer to make up your mind than I do, Kestas.
Could be.
People say I take too long.
Yeah. So probably I'm longer. So you have to let's say manage the kind of priorities in the family somehow.
Yes.
And then I think also another thing that actually I lived abroad quite a bit in different places, and I mean not all those places are where I would like to drive that kind of car. So it was also kind of added to a bit to postponement of this decision. And then I think at some point, there was like no discussion in the family, to be honest. I remember even a few, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 or something.
Yeah.
I even got, as an addition to my birthday present from my family, I got a little 4S 997 kind of a toy car, because they said, here it is. We know you are after it. You know that's the one you want. So we are sure there will be the day, but just, here it is, and we're looking forward for you to get the real one. And I mean, from then on, it's been a bit of a time.
So the car you found, right, which we'll get into now, the car you found, did the car find you? Did it find you in a way that where it just appeared and you thought, okay, now's the time I'm going to buy it? Or did you decide, I'm going to search now, I'm going to do this now, this is the right time, my kids have grown up a little bit, I have some money, I'm going to go buy the car? Or were you looking and it just sort of like, oh, I've got to get that car?
Actually, I think I found the car, to be honest, because actually I made this sort of, okay, I buy it now kind of decision actually this spring, because I thought, okay, all those practical stuff, things in the family are all set.
Yes.
I live in Italy, so what can be better, so let's do it.
Absolutely.
And then I started to search for a car online, of course, portals, all sorts of portals. I was quite sure it must be a 4S. I mean, there were also a long way until I came to that conclusion.
And is that, sorry, Kestas, is that because of where you live? Is that because of you wanted the 4S because of the climate in where you live, or you just like the idea of the Carrera 4 better? What was it about the 4S that you want, or was it the shape of the body?
I think it is two things. First of all, shape of the body, because that's sort of, I was actually very clear that as a first Porsche, I shouldn't get a Turbo S or GT3, something like that, because you end up, I mean, a lot of people end up in a ditch in a couple of months. So, so that is not the first one,
Yes.
for sure, not the first one. Then, of course, the next one, which is wide body. I wanted a wide body because I believe it's beautiful. It's more beautiful.
Yes.
That's a 4S. That has to be a 4S. So I was looking for 4S, and then I think I landed on 997 because generation 2 specifically, because okay, 996, I mean, nothing wrong with that car, to be honest, but also looking at the age a little bit and the reviews I read about build quality, and let's say, I was convinced, okay, I need to, let's say, step up to 997. So it's kind of closer also in classic look, the way the lights are designed, the way the shape, the silhouette is looking. So 997 was, this is it, and it's a wide body. Then the famous PDK came into the picture.
Yes.
So I'm actually the guy who wanted a PDK. So then it naturally it became generation 2.
Yes.
And honestly, before PDK, I was not so much of a, let's say, automatic gear kind of drive, unless it is a family car. So from Porsche point of view, it kind of didn't matter to me. But then when PDK came out, I mean, there were so many great reviews about it, so many great comments, and I was like, okay, I mean, then maybe, I shouldn't overlook it at all.
There's nothing wrong with the PDK transmission. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's supposed to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But was there a reason why, I just want to ask this question before we go into the 997 further. Was there a reason why you didn't look at the 991.1?
Yes. Actually, I looked at a few. But then I went back.
Okay.
And the reason being, okay, first of all, there is, there were certain budget I wanted to more or less to fit in. But actually, at the end of the day, probably the money I spent on a 997 4S 4 GTS is probably I could get a 991 as well. But surprisingly, the cars that I saw, actually, that they were available on sale for, let's say, during last 9-12 months, that's kind of the period when I started scouting, they were actually not well equipped, to be honest. I mean, so I was like, okay, do I buy something, just newer, nicer, probably even larger? Then again, discussions, okay, is it too comfortable, too electric, less electric? So there were a bit of a mixed picture on the comments. But I think the main showstopper for me was that actually, if I want to really buy a well-optioned 991, I probably need to add another, let's say, 5-digit number to my budget, surely.
So it was partly due to price, but you actually did. Would you say you like the 997 shape better than the 991 shape?
I think so, actually, and also the tail, the lights. I think from 991 onwards, and now especially when I look at the 992, it's beautiful. But I don't know, it has something. This I don't know if it's the right word, but there are many. It almost, I don't want to offend anyone, but to me it looks like almost like some kind of super advanced Toyota or something. I mean, I don't know. It's the tail, the lights, they are to me a bit step away from Porsche. If you look from the back, I mean, the shape and everything is perfect. But it's too busy. I mean, to me, Porsche is kind of laconic. It's one of those simple, laconic, clear associations. And I think probably 997 is the one that is sort of maybe last of this laconic.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, it's weird with the 991, and I kind of agree with what you said. I'm never a fan of the 991, but now the 992's come out. Do you think the 991 looks better?
Yes.
It does, right? It still looks better. It still looks quite analog, original. It doesn't, all of a sudden the 992 looks far removed from everything else.
Correct. Yeah, I fully agree. Fully agree with that. Yeah,
all right.
Fully agree with that.
we've started to talk about it. We haven't really introduced it properly. So let all the listeners know what you actually purchased, what your car is, the year and the color, etc., and also, Kestas, the options that your car came with.
Right. So it was 2011 November 997 Gen 2 for GTS. It's black color outside and it's beige inside. And let's say beige inside, for me, it was an absolute must-have. Exterior color, it's not that it's a must-have, but I wanted it to be dark. Maybe I would have preferred let's say dark blue or dark green. I mean, some of those kind of colors.
Yes.
But then again, I mean, when you're on the second-hand market, I mean, at some point you have to make a trade-off somewhere.
Yes.
And black was, I mean, it's perfectly fine color. Looks good on a 997. And I think I was making a trade-off between the, let's say, options in the car. What it had and kind of perfect fit from the color point of view.
I mean, the car looks beautiful. It really does. I mean, I'm looking at your Instagram and I've seen the photos before. It's and I'll just tell the listeners while you're talking. If you go to Kestas's Instagram, it's 9.9 written out, .7 written out. So go to 9.9.7 and you can see pictures of the car while he's talking about it. Okay, sorry, Kestas.
Yeah. So actually, the option list was something that kind of really convinced me, because first of all, I was not honestly looking for a GTS because I knew it was so rare. I mean, relatively speaking, it was so rare that to have the options, the color of the interior, the color of the exterior, sunroof I wanted. I mean, it's not the new car that you spec. So I had to, let's say, stop somewhere. So I was looking for a 4S, and then actually I came to see this car that I kind of made an appointment for, and in the same reseller, actually he had this GTS standing there, and I was like, is that a GTS? Okay, let's look at that. So frankly speaking, I came to test drive and to check out a completely different car. But then
so what was the car? Sorry, because what was the car you went to look at? What Porsche was the car you went to look at?
It was also black and beige 9972. It had a bit less mileage on the clock. I think it was fairly pristine. I mean, it really looked fantastic. It had something like 25,000 kilometers on the clock. So
Carrera S? Was it a Carrera S?
4S. It was a
4S.
Carrera 4S.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to see that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So I was looking for 4S. I mean, that was the model I was looking for, and this was a beauty. I mean, it was really seriously a beauty. And then there was this GTS standing next to it, which I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So then, of course, we looked. You jump in, you open the trunk, you sit inside, you get that kind of feel, and next thing that happens, let's look at some papers, let's look at some history of the car, and let's book a test drive.
Yeah. So how many kilometers did your car have, the Carrera 4 GTS?
Yeah. So actually, when I snapped it up, it had 72 on the clock. So it was more, but again, I mean, looking at the service history and then reading many things about Porsches for many years. I mean, basically, I think there is pretty much a consensus saying that, look, I mean, if the history is there, it's a Porsche.
So you bought this from a specialist dealer, not from a Porsche dealership? Specialist dealer. Actually,
correct. Actually, it's kind of interesting process because of course, you start to look at any kind of ads and portals and whatever. Then I think the one that worked for me best, and I believe probably if you are looking for a car in Europe, this might be a good source. It's Auto Scout 24.
Okay.
It has a collection of cars from many countries. So I was looking at the websites of naturally Italy, then France, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, basically, because this is something that is very easy for me to reach. And then I figured out there are different kind of vendors. I mean, there are, of course, let's say owners that sell, okay, this is my car, and for this and that reason, I need to sell it. And the nice thing about those kind of sellers is that they really can tell you in and out all the history, what did they do, what they didn't do, how they drove, track, no track. I mean, all that stuff. So that is great. But this is the only car you can look at. Then there are actually sellers that they sell pretty much anything. And I looked at a couple of Porsches at these kind of vendors, and I realized that it's. I mean, I know about the car without seeing it much more than they do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. True. Their knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Their knowledge is so poor, so that it's kind of almost no fun talking to them, except that you just go have a look at the car. If you see that the condition is not what you want, or documentation is what would you don't even want to test drive. So actually, I just walked away like this a couple of times.
Right.
The guys go like, "Are you like, who is this guy?" Yeah, and then I came across the seller that's actually specializing in Porsches.
Okay.
So it's a guy. It's a family business which is based very close to Frankfurt. So also logistically, it was extremely convenient for me.
Yes.
Flying in, half an hour, you are in their office. And so they sell something like around 20 cars a month.
Okay.
Something like that. They keep a stock. They told me maybe 70, 80 cars. So they
so
cannot
only,
even,
sorry, Kestas,
only
Porsche?
Porsches.
Only Porsches.
Yeah, only Porsche, yeah. So they had a couple of Boxsters. They had a couple of Macans, Cayennes. They had 993s. And
Okay.
they had also, of course, a few 997s and 991s. But Porsche, that was the only thing that they do. Which was then, honestly, from, let's say, a buyer experience, it made a hell of a difference because you can compare, you can relate, you can, how about this versus 993 or 6 or 991 or whatever, and they really can give you, a history of how different options developed and why something is in and why something is not in. So it was actually very well-informed seller.
It's a better experience, isn't it? It's a much better experience because you want it to be enjoyable as well. And like you said, you want to talk to someone that actually knows what they're talking about. Unfortunately, I have actually heard, over the last few owner stories I've recorded, people who have bought 911s from dealers who don't deal in 911s and just tell them anything. You know what I mean? Like they just tell them anything, and some of the times the information is not even correct. And that's a bit of a struggle if it's your first Porsche. So when you go into this dealer, I want to go back to that time. So you're going in there to look at this 4S.
Yeah.
And then you see the GTS, and you see the GTS. Is the GTS stands out because you knew it was a GTS, or you noticed the wheels, you saw that it looked like it was well optioned?
I saw a central locking wheels, and I was like, okay, but it's not the GT3, so it must be a GTS.
Yeah.
So that much I knew. So then actually we started to talk about it, and it turned out that the car, it had a bit more on the clock, but the history was, let's say, fully recorded. Then I noticed that on the options list, they had actually brand new. That car was close to 150k euros. So I mean, they put pretty much anything that they could put. One thing that actually I was a bit worried about, one of the options, is actually PCCB brakes.
Yeah,
but this is something that I was like, okay, should I? Is that an advantage or is that a disadvantage? So that was something that sort of kept me thinking for a while. And then I think what made me decide that probably it's more an advantage. It's super effective. Is the best brake you can have. Period. Then the only disadvantage is, of course, when you have to replace them. But I mean, instead of replacing them every, 20,000 kilometers, you replace them probably every 200,000 kilometers. So
Yeah, that's
for
the
180.
thing. So it doesn't, because you don't have to replace them. I mean, purely for looks alone, though, Kestas, purely for looks alone. I mean, your wheels are black. I know you're going to get to that, but the black wheel with the yellow caliper is just fantastic, especially with the black car. It's always a great look. And I understand your concern for ceramics. I mean, I know ceramics, they can be temperamental, right? They can be temperamental depending on the temperature. Is that
but
correct?
I didn't discover that yet, to be honest, because, I never had this car at below zero.
Okay.
So maybe that's why. But honestly, even if I start driving in the morning, winter now in Italy can be like +5, so relatively cold where I live. But I always warm up the car. I always wait, the cooling liquid to go up to, let's say, at least 80 degrees. So it's warmed up for, let's say, 10 minutes at least. Then I drive. I didn't really notice anything that would make me hesitate or make me uncomfortable or make a strange sound like some people say.
Yes.
Nothing of that. Actually, it's just it's perfect brake. And when I was test driving the car, it was another very fun experience we can go back to. But when you push that brake, I mean, man, the car stops.
It stops very quickly, yes. It would take a bit of getting used to, right? Once you bought the car. It would take a little bit of getting used to, I think, for sure, because the stopping power is much improved.
Yeah.
So
but it does look fantastic. Yeah, it does.
Let me ask you about the wheels on your car. Obviously, the central locking is standard on GTS, and I think some people do opt out and they can just get a standard wheel if they want, right?
Right.
The black wheels with the silver trim, were they an option? Or they standard on the Carrera 4 GTS?
I think they option for black, but they are standard on GTS. The center lock is standard. I think the first owner they opted for black to match the color of the car.
But the wheels are nice though because it does have the silver lip. The silver lip actually makes it, it's much nicer with the silver lip.
Much nicer.
And your car also has the decal on the side of the door, which I'm a big fan of that decal. I think it looks good on the GTS. That's a nice option. Well, out of everything in the car, I mean, it's obviously a heavily optioned car, and you haven't listed everything yet. But what's your favorite option so far of having owned the car for the last few months?
PDK, no doubt. Ceramic brakes, yes. Then another maybe, sunroof. I like it actually because when the weather was nicer, I used to open, and when you are on the highway, no, but when you are on the B road or a C road, it's a fantastic feeling actually. It's really nice. So aircon off, and you just open it. It feels great.
I always forget to open mine. I sometimes I even forget I've got a sunroof. I don't think I've opened it hardly at all.
Okay, it's nice. Try it. You might like it. You might like it. Then another actually fun option I would say, but it's kind of practical and useful, is that it has these dynamic headlights. So when you turn, your headlights kind of also turn together with the car. So when you drive on a twisty, when you are coming back home when it's already dark on a twisty B road, it's actually very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. Cruise control I used. Perfect. Yes.
Does your car have the Sports Plus button? The Chrono Pack?
Oh, yes.
Does it have the Chrono and the Sports Plus? Yes.
Yes. It's dangerous.
Yes. But that's the best. Isn't that the best? To me, I reckon. I think that if I went and bought a 997.2 PDK or even a 901 PDK, I think I want the Sport Plus button.
I was looking for that. Actually,
the sports wheel,
correct.
The paddle shifters.
Actually, Chrono Plus package was one of these must-have options I was looking for even in a 4S. So for me, that was important, and precisely for that button. Now, when I was doing a test drive, the seller, the guy, he said, I'll show you everything it can do. I said, yes. All right. And then, you're in Germany, you're in the Autobahn, and, the sky is the limit. And you are sitting there and basically, he pushed a button. Now he said, just floor your accelerator and don't let it go. Just when at the point when you will be scared,
Yes.
don't be scared. Just let it go. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. Okay, so I floored the car, and I mean, it jumped to before I noticed we were like 230 kilometers an hour.
I
you
mean,
know,
the best place in the world, the best place in the world to test drive a Porsche in Germany.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
of all the
yes,
places,
absolutely,
I think
yes.
that's the pick, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, my goodness. So then it was something like 230. I kind of still remember it. It was something like 234. I think I just lifted my foot because I just, it was it was it was too much. I thought, maybe I shouldn't do it now. And the car is not even mine, and there are two of us. So
So after that test drive, that was it. You decided on the car. That was it. You had to do the deal for the car.
Yeah. Actually, the handling was great. The sound was great. By the way, there's another important option, and it was a must-have for me, was a sport exhaust.
Okay.
It makes a beautiful sound, and I think it makes a more beautiful sound than PSC option on a 4S. So
Right.
I don't know exactly what technically is different and why that sound is different, but it is a slightly kind of a lower note. Beautiful.
I don't know this answer, Kestas. The 4 GTS over just the normal 4S. How much more power does it have? Quite a bit. It has more power though, right?
It's 408 versus 385, so it's 23 horsepower.
23 horsepower, which may make a difference to the sound as well.
Could be actually. Yeah, you might have a point there. Yeah, so probably the engine power is also one of the contributors. But actually, what the guy selling me the car, and I kind of trust him, he said that it's the sport exhaust on the GTS is slightly different from the 4S.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. So it's a slightly throatier type exhaust. It's got more of a throatier
something
sound
like that.
to it.
Yeah, something like that.
But I think you got the great.
I love it.
You've got the great options. I mean, to have the Sports Plus with the PSE is ideal, and it just makes the PDGA perfect. You know what I mean? It really does.
Yeah.
And you've already seen that. So, okay, so you decide to do the deal. You're in Frankfurt. You're at this dealer. Do you do any other further inspections on the car, or do you trust the records the dealer has? Do you trust the dealer's reputation? What do you do?
Actually, I did two things. One, I Googled up about the dealer.
Okay.
Regardless of how nice the showroom is and nice guy and whatever, I Googled up. So I read some reviews, and basically everybody was. I mean, the feedback that I could come across was super positive of the owners, which was kind of coinciding with my impression. I think there was somebody unhappy due to the fact that he was, too slow to respond to something. So, I mean, it's not about the car or anything like that. I mean, just maybe some other buyer was very demanding in terms of, response time or something. So actually, that was one check. Second check, I asked him actually about PPI from a dealer.
Yes.
And actually, he said, "Look, I always check all the cars before I sell, and if I find something that is not right, I simply don't sell. I value my name, and that's it." But I said, "Okay, can you give me some kind of printout, some kind of checklist, or something that I can look into more detail?" He said no, he didn't have it, and then I said, "Okay, can you do a PPI for me?" But he was actually said, "Yeah, sure." So I simply, I don't know exactly how much a PPI would cost if I would go to a dealer myself. But basically, I said, "Look, I transfer you 300 euros. You bring it back and forth. Send me a checklist. That's it."
Okay.
But actually, he was a nice guy. He did it. He brought it to a Porsche, one of the Porsche dealers in Frankfurt. So I got a nice Porsche printout with the checklist, and there was nothing major on it. I found a few. Actually, they found some small thing like I think like a parking. One of the parking sensors was not functioning well, so they just replaced it, which is fine.
The car's out of warranty though, right? When you buy it, sorry,
it was out of warranty. Yeah,
and when
it was out of warranty.
when you buy from Germany, I'm not sure of the rulings here. When you buy from a dealer in Frankfurt in Germany, is there any warranty from that dealer when you buy the car? Is there any other further protection, or once you drive it out, it's your responsibility?
Well, there is a certain protection as a seller, but a very, very limited one. So what I did afterwards is actually I bought a 2-year warranty, which is almost, let's say, identical to a Porsche approved warranty. It's just that it's not from Porsche. Maybe it costed like a couple of €100 less, but let's say, give or take, it is €1,000 a year. For that kind of warranty, and you get a warranty on most of, not on wear and tear, but on let's say mechanical failures, things like that. I mean, so it's actually very close. So that one I bought on top.
Okay.
That one I bought on top.
Does the warranty cover? Does it cover brakes and clutch and wearables, or not that in depth?
No, wear and tear, no. But let's say if there would be a breakdown, I don't know. Let's say if somebody would mess up my ceramic brakes while changing winter wheels, that is covered.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So the deal is really helpful. He gets a PPI done for you at Porsche. Nothing really else shows up. So that's it. Just the parking sensor. Nothing serious at all. Everything's fine.
Yeah. They had front bumper resprayed, but at the same time, I think the car is 9 years old. It's I think it's just somebody was taking good care of the car. That's
common thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a common thing. So. There's nothing mechanical. There's nothing electronic. So
Okay. So that took like a week or so, or a couple of weeks, and then you decide, okay, that's it. I'm gonna do the deal now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 1 week after my visit, they did a PPI, and then the following weekend, I just flew in to pick it up.
Okay. And that's what I want to talk about next, because you sent me that message, and I was very envious when you told me. But you picked it up in Frankfurt, and then you drove it back home. So tell the listeners about the drive back home, because this is the thing. You've bought your first 911. Let's set the scene here, Kestas. You bought your first 911. You've done the deal. You're sitting in it. You're driving out of the dealer in Frankfurt, and you've got a great drive ahead of you, because you're driving from Frankfurt back to where you live between Rome and Florence,
in Italy,
and you drive in Italy through Switzerland. So tell the listeners about that experience, because I'm sure people will be interested to hear.
It's fantastic. It's like a honeymoon, It's like a 9/11 honeymoon. I mean, seriously, because first of all, driving on Autobahn, I mean, you can do whatever you want speed-wise, So that's a fantastic experience, to enjoy, to feel the car, to feel the speed, to hear the sound, to try with PSC, without PSC,
So you're testing it. You're testing everything on the drive. You're testing everything.
Yeah. And then you stop at the gas station. Then you see all these bunch of people, turning and looking at your car. Which doesn't happen when you drive. I think let's say less sporty car.
Yes,
probably.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so that was a new feeling. Then actually I drove through Switzerland because for a couple of reasons. One is that I have some friends there. Actually, a friend of mine there. We were talking with him a couple of years ago that we should get a Porsche, and he was kind of also onto 4S. So. But it happened so that I was the first one to buy it. So I said, okay, I'm coming. So said, all right, cool. And then second reason, of course, it is a shortest distance where I had to go. And then I read a lot about all these, beautiful roads in Switzerland in the Alps, So there were multiple reasons. I mean, I couldn't miss Switzerland, no way. And the beauty was also maybe something that was a bit surprising. Driving Porsche was, I thought, you get into a car which is super powerful, super fast, after all that test drive, I even realized, man, I have to go to some driving classes or something, because just to make sure I can do this properly.
Yeah.
And then I thought, it might be quite difficult actually to drive under the speed limit, which you are not worried in Germany too much.
Yes.
But in Switzerland, you have to be worried.
Yes.
And my surprising thing in the experience is that actually it's not that difficult at all to keep to follow the speed limit in a Porsche, and not at all. Reason being is that I drive Range Rover and Audi, say otherwise.
Yep.
And in those cars, they are, let's say, so silent and so smooth that you don't really notice, when you are, close or even slightly over. With Porsche, due to the fact that you hear it, you really hear it.
Yeah.
It has to be a really conscious decision to push to, I don't know what, 150 or 80 or even more. It really has to be a conscious decision. So from that point of view, it's actually much easier. That was a nice surprise, I must say. That was a nice surprise. So there I'm in Switzerland, and next thing I do, of course, I look up all these beautiful roads. There are a couple of nice apps like Ultimate Drives, like Roads. So then I pick a few passes on the way home, and I go through Furka. There was one that I wanted to do, but it was already closed. There was too much snow on it.
Okay, I was going to ask.
End of October. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. How was the weather when you were driving back? Was it quite clear, or was it still bad weather?
Germany was a bit cloudy and wet, but that was okay. Switzerland was perfect. It was blue sky. Sunshine, and there was already some snow in the mountains. So it was really beautiful. So then I took a few drives close to Lake Lucerne.
Yes.
Beautiful little villages. And since it was weekend, actually, there were plenty of other Porsche owners actually driving by. It was really fun because, you meet the car and people wave,
really?
you don't know each other. People wave at you. And,
what a great experience, though. What a great experience. Because you're so happy. You're so happy from picking up this car. And then this drive that some of us just want to go to Switzerland and go to Italy and do these roads. And you have you're lucky enough to be able to do this on your first drive back with your 911.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Yeah,
so it was another unexpected thing is actually it got actually social. They meet and talk about these cars because most of the owners are quite passionate about their Porsches. But I was surprised that least of all things in Switzerland, where privacy and discretion is kind of people are a lot about that. People wave. They talk to you when you stop to take a picture or something.
Yes.
They go, oh, how many horsepower? Which year? So you immediately get into discussion. And then off you go. It was fantastic. It was really fantastic.
Oh, that's great. So then you get the car back home. You're back home in Italy. What? Is there anything? So, what month was this when you bought the car? What month this year?
End of October. Like
so
26, 7, 8, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so the end of October. So you get the car back to Italy. You've had the car for a few months. Is there anything that you think you need to improve on the car? Is there anything you want to do with the car? It seems like it's pretty perfect as it is, but was there anything that you thought about doing?
I think it is pretty perfect. Actually, a few things. As a new owner and also as a rookie owner, it's my first Porsche. I did a few things. One, I have a garage, of course. So first of all, I bought two things. One is the cover for the garage, for the indoors. Second, I bought a C-Tech trickle charger because as long as you're not driving every day, but let's say twice a week or something, I understood it's good to have. So those two things went in straight away. Then I was waiting for my winter tires. Actually, I agreed with the seller that they will take care of my winter tires and winter wheels. And by the way, discussing with many other, even when I was discussing with Porsche dealerships, because I looked at some Porsche approved, I was always asking, okay, what about winter tires? And surprisingly, in most of the cases, they were included because the previous owner had it and so on. So actually, don't, at least in Europe, don't forget to ask about that, because most likely you will get them just like that.
Okay, I'm just looking at your Instagram, Kestas. I didn't realize. So your winter tires, you've got a second set of wheels.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
That came with the car?
Well, the tires came, the wheels I paid for.
You paid for. So you bought a new set. So the wheels you have as your winter tires are the GTS wheel in just the silver, right? So they're exactly the same wheel but silver. So you can differentiate between summer and winter. Yeah,
but those wheels are also used. So I didn't buy them. I didn't buy them brand new. They were actually the same seller arranged them for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. The same guy arranged it for me. He shipped it to my address, and then I went to the local Porsche dealer just to fit them on. So,
that's fantastic. Fantastic. So what, do you like the car better with the summer wheels, the summer rims, or the winter rims?
No,
do you like
I think black is black. Yeah, black is black. I prefer black. Then I think, on practicals, during winter, you have a bit more, how to say, the roads are not so clean and so on and so forth. So let's say black wheel gives it away immediately. On the gray wheel, it's not that visible. So it's kind of maybe a practical touch to it, but I think it kind of works out quite well. Black in summer and silver in winter.
So the thing that I noticed, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but it seems like Porsche owners in Europe tend to drive their Porsches all year round. They don't tend to put them away in storage. They don't tend to hide them away for the winter. It seems in other countries, US, UK, people seem to always want to put their car in storage during winter. So you definitely don't put your car in storage during winter, your 911. You drive it during winter.
Yeah. I mean, why to put it in storage? I mean, but okay, maybe I can see the point. When I don't know. I think in different countries. I mean, I traveled quite a bit as well. I think in different countries sometimes they might be putting some chemicals on the road, especially salt, which is not a nice combination with the car. So from that point of view, I understand maybe that's not the right thing to do. But for example, at least in Italy, they don't do that. And even in the mountains, when you go in winter skiing or whatever, they usually put some kind of fine gravel or something. It's very, very seldom that you get some...
so they don't use the salt.
Some chemical stuff. No.
Right. They don't use the salt like in the UK.
Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably
so maybe that's the reason.
Maybe
that's the reason.
Yeah. So you bought the cover. So nothing else you want to buy for the car? That's it? You don't have a long list?
At the moment, actually, I was thinking about it, but not really. Okay, maybe one thing I'm sort of not 100% convinced yet in the car is actually the seat, because actually when the car was spec'd new, the first owner spec'd Recaro seats from Porsche Exclusive, which you might think, wow, this is a great thing. Yes, they are nice and everything. I didn't put any interior pictures on my Instagram, which I will. But they're really nice. But when you have a drive, let's say, of, 4 or 5 hours a day, it kind of really makes me wonder if this is the best seat I would like to have. And I don't have an opinion yet, to be honest. I mean, I just want to keep on driving a little bit and see how I feel. I mean, otherwise it's great seat. It looks great. It has heating. It has ventilation. It has electric, setting. But after, as I said, 4 or 5 hours of drive, So I wonder, is it the seat, or is it it just has to be different from a Range Rover, for God's sake.
I was going to say it's different to your other cars, different to the Range Rover. I was going to say that actually. So, but the seats, the Porsche seats, the electric seats, they're electric seats. They have quite a lot of adjustment. Don't you find you can get the seats to the right position that way? So your seats, sorry, Kestas, your seats are all leather. They don't have any Alcantara.
Yeah, they have
that's
all,
nice.
they are all leather. Yeah,
And your dash,
and by the way,
your dash is leather as well. Everything's leather.
Everything is leather.
Your console, everything leather.
Everything is leather.
Oh, perfect.
So
perfect.
it's
Very
beautifully fitted car. I mean, and then also the seats have exactly same color as the interior. So I mean, it's really well matching. So I believe they really came from a Porsche exclusive.
Yeah. No, I mean, they sound like they would have been an expensive option, those seats, for the exclusive manufacturer. There's one picture on your Instagram that scares me a little bit. There's one image on your Instagram that scares me a little bit. Is this parking in the street in Rome? Now, after being to Rome a couple of times, I don't think I'd feel very comfortable, Kestas, parking my car in the street in Rome.
I'm a bit of a risk taker, maybe, but I just didn't want to go there with my Audi. I mean, come on, it's a Sunday afternoon, for God's sake,
Yeah.
But actually, the initial plan was different. The initial plan is actually I get into Rome, hopefully. I don't meet too many cars, which is almost never happens in Rome. And then I wanted to go into the underground parking, where sort of it's of course much safer than just on the street.
Yes.
But guess what? It was a really sunny afternoon, something like 17 degrees. Everybody's out, and the parking was full. So,
so you had no choice.
I had no choice.
All right. So now you've got your 911. It's you're happy as anything. It's a great car. It's great, well spec'd. It's what you were looking for. It's a 4. It's a GTS. Now, has that given you the bug now to get another 911? You've got your Range Rover. You've got your Audi. Is there another 911 lurking, or is that it?
Yeah, it's actually more than one. It's really funny, when I bought the car, first, one of the, besides sending pictures to my family, I sent also a couple of pictures to my parents and look, this is my toy, something I wanted to do for many years. And the first thing, my mother replied, "Oh, it looks so beautiful and looks so small. Beautiful car." So she had like no clue about the Porsche or whatever, but she just said, "Wow, you got a really beautiful car out there," So like, approved big time. Then when I was talking to my wife, I said, maybe second one convertible would not be a bad idea.
Yes.
And she said, "No, you must be crazy. Forget it. Come on. We have one. We have other cars. Forget it." And then after a few other rounds, I was looking a lot at the pictures of 964, 993, 991s, and then discussed a little. She likes Porsche. She has pretty much same opinion. They're beautiful, well engineered, nice car. So she agrees with me. But then it looks like her favorite is 993. I tried with all sorts of pictures. She always points her finger into 993. So I think there might be a 993 somewhere on the horizon at some point.
A 993 Carrera S, that would be a nice one.
Yeah, indeed.
Not so easy to find, but a nice one.
No, not so easy to find. Yeah, not so easy to find. So I think actually, honestly, when I set out to look for this one, I will really go to some specialized resellers. Because they know where to find them, they know how to check them, they know how to prepare them. I guess it would be pretty difficult to find randomly from somewhere else, a good 993, to be honest, and in good condition.
But then you're so well located where you are, like trying to getting one in Europe is going to be probably easier than anywhere else. So your location is so central to everywhere. So at least you have better options than most people. So I've asked you about, normally we're getting close to the hour. We always keep these owner stories to an hour. But I've asked you about your favorite drive. That's normally the last question I ask people, but because you picked up the car and you drove. But are there any other roads near where you live in Italy that you really enjoy driving on, that if someone comes to Italy or someone comes to Rome or Florence and wants to do a drive in between there, is there a great drive you can recommend?
Sure, sure. I mean, look, there is no shortage of beautiful roads in Italy. So, I mean, it's almost like, it's difficult to recommend something because I just plenty.
Yeah,
But
true.
there is actually one road that I put on Ultimate Drives lately. I haven't checked if it's posted now, if it's published or not, but I posted that one. It's actually very close to where I live. It is between three. It's kind of one of the B roads between three little towns between Acquasparta, Norcia, and Castelluccio. So probably none of these names say anything to a person who is not connected to Italy. But it is a really beautiful drive through the Apennines.
Yes, yes.
Right now, there are some snow tops. The road is well maintained. There are some really beautiful curves. There are some beautiful, let's say, coffee shops or little restaurants of the way if you want to. And probably it's around 2 hours one way. So it makes it kind of a beautiful afternoon drive back and forth, 4 hours, and maybe stopping for a lunch. So it's my, let's say, latest discovery. I share it on Ultimate Drives with the others. Yeah, that I would definitely recommend.
Okay,
Beautiful.
perfect. That's a great recommendation. So just I'm not familiar with it, Kestas, so I could be out of touch here. Ultimate Drives is an app or is it a website? Is it just in
It's
Europe?
both. It's both. Actually,
Is it?
it's not only Europe. No, it's not only Europe. It's an app for sure, but I think it's also I think it's also a website, and I
Okay.
think they have a YouTube channel as well. To be
Okay.
honest.
I'll check that out. Thanks for the tip. So Ultimate Drives.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone listening, if they haven't come across that, check that out because you can find out. I guess people just share their favorite drives. Is it? Is that what it is? It's a community
Yeah.
thing where you
Correct.
share your drive
Correct.
and then fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a community thing. I think to share a drive, you have to subscribe to it, but otherwise you just search. There are plenty of routes already posted. So, and you can choose. You want a route for like a picturesque drive, or you want a drive kind of for a sporty drive. So you can even choose by what you want to experience on your drive.
All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. So I think we're almost at the end. Is there anything else you want to tell the listeners before we leave? We have a lot of listeners in Europe as well, actually. We have Europe and we have a lot of listeners in Norway and Sweden and Scandinavian countries, which is more so than other countries.
They are disadvantagedly taxed for cars like this.
Is that why? I couldn't work out. I think
unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we were like number 6 in Norway the other day, and I couldn't work out why. It seemed to be attracted to people Norwegians are attracted to the podcast.
I mean they have seriously high taxes for these kind of cars in the Nordics. So I'm sure it's true fans who make it.
Oh, fantastic!
But of course it is it's a different story to own a Porsche in the Nordics. But I think just get the Porsche, and I think I'm gonna just repeat what many other owners said before me. Just get one, because I honestly don't think it really matters. I mean, is it a 997 or 6 or 993 or whatever you get into, or 991 or even a 992 if you are lucky. I think it's just the experience and, passion for driving, passion for the car, and this sort of social community thing, which is, to me, was a bit, positive, unexpected. And you are there, and then, you will trade up or left or right or whatever. I mean, because actually another interesting fact I came across is that the average ownership of Porsche is around 2 years, right? Because most of the people, they buy because they think, oh, now I love it, this will be my car for, I'll take care of it. And then after experiencing, okay, maybe I would like a bit more of this or more of that, and then the appetite
you keep going up and up. Yes,
exactly. So it makes the average time of around actually 2 years, which I thought, okay, it was a bit surprising, but now when I drive it, I say maybe it's not surprising, but still, I have a long way to go. Well, I mean, I still want to improve my driving skills to be able to experience it at full.
At full. at full, what it's actually expected to do. Yeah, I think that's good advice. I mean, you know what? I mean, and I know we've been saying it through the podcast as well on other episodes, but, buy the 911 you can afford now and then work your way up. If you can only afford a 996, there's nothing wrong with a 996. And 996 is a great 911. It's still a 911. The essence, the DNA, everything is still there. And then, you might have it for a year or 6 months or 2 years, and then you can get a 997 or a 997.2 and just make your way up. But I think what you said, Kestas, you get in there now, and then you won't turn back. Once it's not only the car, like you said, and you experienced it on the way back from Frankfurt, it's the community, which actually at first you're not used to it. You know what I mean? Because you haven't owned a 911, and then it's a great community.
Right.
Which we all are starting to realize, which is fantastic. Kestas, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed hearing your story today on Owner Stories. I hope you have a great Christmas, and thank you for being a part of this series.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for keeping it up with the podcast. Great podcast. So thank you for spending your time. I'm sure a lot of Porsche fans are very, very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kestas, and thanks for being a member of PorscheCooled Exclusive as well. It's great support. Thank you for that. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you, Kestas. That's it for today. That was PorscheCooled Owner Stories. I have to remember what number 18. That's Kestas from Kestas lives in Italy, and he has that beautiful black with ceramic brakes, the yellow ceramic brakes with the calipers, Carrera 4 GTS in black. Thanks, everyone, and bye for now.